process is currently not good, we are proposing standardization and optimization that really must be done in order to have the processes really optimized and standardized and clear, so you can build the software robots. From the documentation phase, we are going to the second part of our methodology. When we are developing robots through agile and incremental practices, we are testing them and putting them on test environment, production, and in hypercare and deployment. We are basically changing what people are doing to the robot performing the task. When the robot is live, then we also have the change request or maybe the debugging. If you're changing something in your IT infrastructure, then we must adjust the robots in order to keep them maintained and to keep them processing your processes and achieving the value. I think it's very important to understand that we all are using methodology and we all have really clear path on how we are performing this task. There is no ad hoc solutions. There is no just jumping and do something. The process is very strict and very, very capable for automation. In purpose of RPA assessment for order, if you're asking yourself, okay, so do I have the processes that are good for automation? We are jumping in with RPA assessment and building this funnel. How do we build funnel? First, we are collecting the data. So we are collecting the data for all your processes, average handling time, data types, FTE, number of application, variation that you have, and everything that we need in order to move forward to the step 2, to do the assessment of all your processes. And then we can say, okay, some are good, some are better, some needs to be optimized or standardized. And in final chapter, we are calculating the business case. So for every process, we are performing business consulting in order to calculate the business case. So you will exactly know in dollars or in euros or any kind of money you are using, is this process good for business case to do RPA or not? So outcome of this analysis of this funnel is that we have 3 types of processes. First, the RPA potential processes with calculated business case. We have optimization potential processes, and we surely have the processes that cannot be automated by current technologies. Those are the cognitive processes and where the people needs to be creative, think, and do something extraordinary. So those processes currently are really are very hard to automate. Okay, we can use AI, we can use machine learning, we are using it, but you will not have the business case, and the business case is very important. So why we do this? We do this to achieve FTE savings, to achieve time savings or error savings, because it's very important that the robot is not making any mistakes. When you program it, it really works like you tell him to do. He's not complaining, he's just doing the job. Okay, so the first question that we are answering is, how big is your automation potential? We are following the methodology, analyzing all processes, calculating the cases, and we do this by mapping the process. And we are mapping the process by our automation potential methodology and presenting the potential percentage or how much process can be automated. Some process can be fully automated, some process can be partially automated. Some process are maybe automating the first part, then the human needs to do something, and the rest of the process is going to do the robot. It depends. It really is in the business case, and it's custom made for the clients. And we are not having the solution that we are selling. We are selling the knowledge, and we are selling how you're going to automate your processes. One important thing is that we can work online. We can work on site. Why? Because this is basically software automation, so everything can be performed online. In our RPA assessment, business cases is one outcome. Second outcome is proof of concept. So we are proving that our concept is working. We are proving that the robot can perform the task and that you will achieve the same value or even higher value when the robot is performing the task comparing to the humans. And we are delivering the target operating model. So we are building the operating model for your company. So for you to, in the future, to use the RPA, you can use it by having your own department, by outsourcing it, by building Excel center, or whatever we will find appropriate for you and your company. So of course, we are using some tools. We built this RPA calculator, so it's very easy and very fast to calculate cost savings, initial cost savings, investments that you need to invest in robots and in developers, and we will get the clear numbers, and the calculator will show us, are we going forward or we need to do some kind of re-engineering of the processes. We are building this automation assessment for all scope of the company, or we can use one scope. For example, we can try just in finance, just in HR, just in logistics, or in some other parts of the company, or we can see the whole company and then just cherry pick the best cases. We are building process maps by using BPMN 2.0. So of course, you're going to have very detailed maps. I want to say that this is very important because we are building click by click maps, and this is very rare that somebody is mapping the process by click. So we're going to show you how you are performing your work. And this is one of the important stuff, because here is where we catch variations, because you're always, when you're mapping the processes, you're mapping the happy flow, and we here must map every variation, because the robot needs to know every variation when it comes what to do next. Okay, and for the end, we have this current process automation requirements, and we are building the solution design, the 2B processes, and explaining to you how in the future will robot help you to perform your daily work and to perform your processes. For all this, of course, we are using softwares. We are business consultants and we have developers. And here on the call with me is Darko. Darko will show you robotic AE, because we choose this one because this is fast and agile solution, flexible in licensing. He will talk more about this, and we have very good experience. But we also show this map to show there are a lot of softwares in the market, like UiPath, Automation Anywhere, Softomotive, and we have worked with all of those softwares. And when we are building the consulting business, when we are building the business case, we are calculating for all softwares what you are going to achieve, and we are choosing the one with you. But first of all, and we want to introduce the robotic and to show you how the robotic is doing. For the process mapping, we are using Visagi. I think it's very famous software. It has his native integration with SAP, with Salesforce, with Microsoft Navision, and so on. And you're going to receive the process maps with possible simulation of the processes, so you can simulate if you robotize or automate some kind of parts of the process, or if you're automizing everything, what end result you will get. So it's very important for you to know that we can simulate the process in real time, so you can see what is going to be the future like. This is one of the example maps, so how we are delivering this in Visagi. And this is how I want to show you how we do the automation potential map. First, we do the value stream map based on Lean. And Lean and Six Sigma are basically the starting point in automation, because you need to have very lean and very processes that are in high Six Sigma level in order to be automated. And first of all, I want to thank the robots and the things that the people who are experiencing Lean, they know that our goal for the most of the years and for most of the decades was to have the process with zero waste or with zero defects. It was nearly impossible, but now when the robots are performing the tasks, we can achieve those zero waste or zero defects. And first of all, we are starting with value stream map. After, we are building this automation potential map. When the green ones are those who can be automated, red ones are those steps in the process that cannot be automated, or the blue ones you will see in the business case that we want to show here are the ones that need some kind of engineering in order to be automated. Okay, so I want to present the basic questions for RPA for every processes. You can do this by your own, it's no problem, but our experience showed that companies, when they're performing this by their own, they tend to jump some questions, and they tend to somehow not follow all the questions instead. So we are using here also Lean Six Sigma methodology in order to, for those answers that are no, to bring them to the RPA. So for example, if you have highly manual and repetitive processes, if they are rule-based, if they are readable electronic input type, if they are standardized, if you have low exception rates and so on, you're going to the RPA. But for example, if you have answered no on readable input type, that doesn't mean that this process is impossible to automate. That process just needs some kind of business knowledge and some kind of workaround or some kind of optimization in order to be automated, or using of some other technologies as OCR and etc. We are also using the chatbots and all things we can find like AI in order to bring the RPA in the company. So this presentation is going to be shared, and all of you can just run through these questions in the first draft to see is there any processes, and I know there are a lot of processes in your company that can be automated. Those are some of our documentation example. We will show one straight, but first we are building this basic info of the process. So we need to know how many FTE is used, what is the average handling time, what is the volume of the process, how many variation is there is, who are the responsible people, and this process then runs into this automation potential map. After this, we are building the calculations, so you can see that those calculations are in euros, dollars, so there are no high, low, or some other things. We are really precise in things that how much you can save and what the cost will be for every process we are proposing to be automated. So we prepared 2 case studies. One case study is for one big bank in Eastern Europe, but basically this is the financial process. So for every company that has financial processes and that are somehow doing the invoice processing, this can be very interesting case. So we wanted to show that for 2 weeks, and that is pretty fast in our world, we had 5 experts doing Gemba walks and doing the shadowing and following our methodology. And we have 105 processes analyzed, and we build solution design for 9 processes, and we'll build the business cases for 9 processes in just 2 weeks. So this is pretty fast because we build all the tools needed in order to do this. So I chosen one process that is lower remittance processing, that is payments processing. It was used by 0.95 FTEs. It has average handling time of 0.6 minutes, and the volume was pretty high. For this is the daily volume in this company. So we then build the map, and I just want to explain this. So every green parts, so every green process steps are easily and really good for automation, and all blue parts need some kind of re-engineering. But as you can see, following these decision-making steps, some part of the process can be automated right away, and we just did this. And some part of the process needs some kind of business consultant, some kind of thinking how we can do this. And this process eventually was fully automated, and the client was very happy because this was one boring and repetitive task, and people didn't like it so much. For every process, we are building, as you can see, estimated development time. We are building estimated development price. So you can see how much you're paying the development. For this license pricing, we are estimating the license pricing, the project management price. This was one very small process, and we are calculating the investment and the potential savings. And what I wanted to say is that we are very precise in potential savings, and we have really business case to show this. For example, we've shown here that we have saved 20,000 euros every year for this process for the investment of 16,000 euros. So as you can see, in first year, the investment was good. So you earn money in the first year, and this 10,000 euros in the following years is just our estimation, worst estimation. So we believe in following years, this investment cost will fall down. So basically, this company, by investing 20,000 euros, saved almost double in more than 2 years. this is the second example that we wanted to show how we can re-engineer process, or we are just not following just the as-is steps and they say, okay, that's it. If we can do, we do. If we cannot do, we leave. No. This is one example that we have credit data verification. So, you know, when you want to have a credit in one bank, so you need to follow the process steps. And you figure it out, then the first 4 parts can be automated. Second 2 are really hard, and basically the last 2 process steps was impossible to automate. Then we did workshops, we applied our knowledge, and we bring out this kind of process. This is the same process to be solution that we say, okay, we will change some things. We are going to use the robot. We're going to use the web scraping. We are going to use everything that we can have from the data they are receiving. And we basically then have 5 steps, then 4 steps can be automated. And the last one, just checking of the head of the department was left to him in order just to recheck this. But we have speak with the client. In the future, this final step will also be automated. So we bring robot, and robot will basically perform the whole process, except final step, even if in the first analysis, in the first as is a solution, we found it very difficult for automation. The second case we want to present here is our global project for one biggest logistic company. And the project was delivered in Serbia, Costa Rica, Philippines, and Germany. We have more than 50 experts involved. We have 30 developers, 10 business analysts, very big team. And we included air freight, sea freight, HR, sales, finance, and all kinds of processes they are processing were basically global all over the world. And we are very proud to say that we have mapped and built business cases for more than 250 processes. We have calculations for more than 100 processes, and we have the maps, the calculations, we have everything. And we have saved more than 20 FTEs in this project that was lasting for more than a year. And the client was very satisfied. Then they built their own team, their own competence center, and then we left them to do the job. Okay, so this first part was to show you the documentation, to show you our methodology and our experience, and to present how we are doing the RPA assessment. So if you are interested in wanting to know, can you automate something, or how big is potential? Is it possible to invest some money and to make some ROI? Here we are doing the business consulting in order you to find out. And then now I want to switch to Darko, and he will present one demo case with our software robotic, just in order, I wanted to show that not just to have these slides and so on, we want to see the robot working, and I want for all of you to see how this is done in real life. So Darko, please, or Said, can you?
That's great. So let's go to Darko. Then we have some questions here, and we will go to the questions after Darko. Go ahead, Darko, please.
Hi, everyone. So hello from Zagreb, Croatia. So I'm Darko. I'm CEO of a company Robotic AI. So we produce RPA platform. So platform where you actually program the robots. So Ivan told you about more on the business side of things and how do you do the process analysis and how do you pick the process. I'm going to show you an actual demo of the software and how these robots look like. So let me just share my screen. So can you just confirm that you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So what you see on the screen is our application, our platform. So this is one of the processes that was implemented. So this is how we actually program the robot. So when we say a robot, usually some people, software robot, they think it's an actual physical robot typing on the keyboard. Well, actually, it's not. It's a simple application that mimics the user, and just whatever the employee is doing, the robot can do as well. And the robot can do also additional things like read directly from the database or call an API or a web service or so forth. So one of the things that Ivan mentioned, why RPA is so attractive, is because it's not intrusive to the IT environment. So you don't have to change any of the applications, any of your IT landscape. You can just program the robot to use the applications as your employees would. So, and it's pretty quick. So typically when we are talking about implementation, we are talking about weeks. So it takes, from our experience, from 2 to 5 weeks to automate a process based on the input that's provided, let's say, by Ivan's team with the process map, with everything known. So I'm going to quickly guide you through a quick demo. So what you see on the screen is what we call headquarters. It's a server component of the robot where you monitor all the robots, where you schedule the work, where you design the processes. And when we say a robot is actually a virtual machine where the robot runs its processes completely unattended. So robot has their own Active Directory account, and once the server gives a signal to the robot logs into the Windows using their account, and it starts the process, it clicks around, and then it logs out. So let's take a look at this example here. So what I have here is a very simple process. It actually reads a set of contract information from an Excel. So the Excel is located here. It's going to read from sheet 1. It's going to read all the rows, and the Excel has a header column. And then for each of the rows, it's going to read the information from the Excel, and it's going to type this information into a certain application. And very often in big enterprises, you have all these kinds of processes where people are retyping data from one application to another, or rewriting Excel to some other application. So there are multiple scenarios where you can use robots. So for example, it's very, as you can see, the programming of the robot, it's not done through code. It's like also similar to business process modeling. So you're kind of designing what the robot is doing. And in this step here, for example, the robot will click the Euro radio button, so you can understand where the click is happening. Also, we have a chatbot inside. So so if the robot needs to make a certain decision, so for example, if the contract is, let's say, above some threshold, the robot can ask the legal department to approve the contract, and the legal department members can communicate with the robot through this chatbot. So I'm going to simply just run so that you have a feel for this simple process. So the Excel is read from the behind, and now the robot is entering this data into this simple application. It's going to process the contract, and it's waiting while the contract is processed. When the contract is processed, the process is finished. So in production, this process would be done completely unattended, meaning it would be running somewhere in the data center. So maybe just also one quick note how you program the robot. So you can add steps, manual steps, like working with variables, working with the application, and all different kinds of steps. But you can also record portions of the process. So for example, I just run the recorder, the HQ comes down, and let's say I'm going to do a simple recording of sending an email. So I start the recorder, I focus on the Outlook, I click. So you can see this, this recorder is monitoring what I'm doing. So I'll just complete some steps, click the send, and close the Outlook. When I'm done with the recording, I stop the recorder. And what I get as an output is that I get all the steps that were introduced in this recorder. So you can see, for example, when I clicked the new email, the screenshots were taken, then I entered the email address and so forth. So the development of the robot is a combination of recording, mini recordings, and then editing these steps and parameterizing them and so forth. So this is a very, very, very quick overview of the software. And maybe to show you some real world examples, maybe I can play you a couple of videos from real life projects. So first of all, I would like to show you an example from a bank. So in this case, it's OTP Bank. It's a Hungarian bank with the branches across Central East Europe. So we are doing a project for them. And this process is a company solvency report. So when you're applying to the tender, companies applying to the tender, they need to get the solvency report from the bank. So they issue this request to the bank. And then the bank has to take information from their core system, like financial amounts on their account balances and so forth. Plus, they need to go to some government gateway and collect some information from there. And the end output is a document that's being sent to the customer. So in this process, the robot reads an email, and this email contains a Word attachment. And then the robot extracts the information from the document and then completes the entire process. And in the end, sends back the PDF document and sends it back to the relationship manager. So this is now you will see the robot in action. So this is the example of Word document that gets filled by the relationship manager from the bank. This document is sent to the robot's email address. The robot scans this email, then it logs into their bank core system, and then it's going to send the message to the government portal. Then it waits for some time while the government returns the information. And when the information is returned, the robot is going to parse this information. I'm sorry, it's in Croatian, but it's like number of days that the company was blocked and the amount that was in case of this blocking. After that, the robot will gather the information about the account balance. So this is information about how much money does the company have and how much money they received in the last 30 days and so forth. And this is all the information that robot is gathering to create an output document. And after that, from the information that was gathered, the robot generates a document. This document is saved into PDF, and then it's sent back to the original requester via email, and it attaches this PDF file. And in the end, the robot also charges the customer with a fee for issuing this kind of report. So this is an example from a banking sector. There are also examples from insurances, financial agencies, and so forth. But maybe from a different industry, I want to show you manufacturing case study. And in this case, it's focused on ERP transactions, and it's in the finance department. And this is Rimac Automobili. It's the fastest producer of the fastest electric car in the world. They're based in Croatia. So they produce battery power packs, and they also produce these electric supercars. And in this case, we automated the process of closing the advance payments. So in this case, the robot logs into their ERP system, checks if there are some invoices, incoming invoices that have purchase order numbers. And if it finds such invoices, then it tries to see if there is an advance payment. And if there is advance payment, then it closes this advance payment and transfers the amount between accounts. So this ERP is a web-based application. So the robot has its own account for entering this ERP system, and then just goes and clicks through the process the same way the user would do it, but it's much faster. And then it's also making much more controls in the process and verifies things. And sometimes, the humans forget to execute some steps, or forgets to validate certain things because they're in a rush, they have to deliver this, the robot always completes the steps as they were designed. So now it's checking if there's these partners who are candidates for these. So if they have amount on this account 150, then they are candidate for this process. It scans the incoming invoices, and if it contains PO, like for example, as you will see now. So just a second. So you can see in this yellow, it contains this purchase order. And then if it sees this, then it tries to search for this purchase order. And if it matches by the number, then it closes this advance payment. So not to, there's a couple of more phases, but I wouldn't bother you with now. So we have also examples working with SAP. So different ERP systems, different applications. So there's no limitation for the robot in terms of what kind of applications are used. It's only important to have a repetitive process and process which is based on rules. So in this case, the robot is reading some information about gas spending for the official cars of the company. It's gonna book these expenses in the SAP. So it's gonna read the incoming data, and then it's gonna process these all these individual costs on the cost centers, which are basically the official cars. So yeah, this is everything from my side. So I hope you got the concrete examples and the concrete how the robot looks like and how do you program it. So with that, I'm finished, and maybe we can turn to questions.
Thank you very much, Darko. Thank you, Ivan. I have some questions here in the chat and the Q&A. I will ask you, and by your turns, I think you might answer. The first question was, what is the calculator? Is it a software, the process calculator? Is it a software or so? One of that. And these ask that question, Ivan.
It's a light software programmed in an Excel sheet. So we're using some databases when we put all the data, and then out of data that we receive from the customer, it calculates the business case. But for every customer, we need a little customization in order to find out the numbers. The customers have the numbers, and we have the calculator. So we put the numbers inside, and it's pretty fast. Of course, if the question is if we can share the calculator, yes, but it's basically the main thing here, and our experience shows is, and Darko can confirm this, that you need to have experience in calculating the RPA case and looking into the processes, because one little variation can really change the whole calculation. So
that's good. So I think we had other questions, and some questions were answered during the demo and during, but yet I will go with the question because we can have please. Any of our attendees who hasn't seen that part, so he might have, or she might have that answer. The second question was, how does RPA work in ERP transactions, specifically in non-manufacturing transactions? I believe we have seen it on the demo, but just furthermore, if you have anything to add on that.
Yeah, I can add just that the demo showed that how RPA is working like the humans, but RPA can use APIs. RPA can use the backwards transactions, so it can be pretty faster, and it can process more data and more processes than the human can do. Darko, if you can add.
Maybe I can add. So
yes,
robot is used in different departments. So finance is one of the first departments because they have a lot of very structured processes, as finance is very yes, right. Rule-based, department, but also in back office, in operations, in customer support, in call centers. We also had processes in HR. For example, when you hire a new person, there's a lot of things that need to be done. You need to print out the contract. You need to open their account in the Active Directory. You need to provision the access to different applications. So there are many steps you need to perform in order to onboard the employee. And the same thing is somebody is leaving the company. You need to close all the application, close all the emails, and you are also might aware of this. Many times companies forget to close all these things. Access to applications and
that's a cyber security vulnerability.
Yeah,
of course. And I want to add, just also in manufacturing process, if you have if the data is flowing. So for example, we had one client that he had the architectural file, and then he's putting this on the machines, and the data is running from one person to another, and he's filling some kind of application in order to start the machine. So if the process is automated back, so we can use the robot to start the machines, to stop the machines, to check the machines, to monitor the machines, and to perform the task with the machines in production. Of course, there are cases that we have done.
That's great. Okay, we have one more question as well. Is RPA a solution for data gathering and workflow, and RPA can implement an analysis and take decisions?
Of course, if the decision path is known, so if it's logic, if you see this, you do that, and if you multiple, like if you know when you have the input, you know what is the output. If you don't have some kind of creativity, robot can think, or he can be programmed to think, and he can perform the task. Also, Darko shown when you have the case when the robot doesn't know what to do, via chatbot, he can talk to the employee can think, and employee can tell the robot what to do, so the robot can continue the task.
That's great. And we have got one last question. I believe this question would be for me. That the question is that who are the companies in the market provide RPAs? So we would say with proud that we, TDM Consulting Group, with their partners like Simplify Consulting and Robotic, with Darko, we are here in Saudi market to provide this service, and we will be very happy to have any communication or any contacts based on that, and to answer any questions further. So this is, I think this was the last question I had. If any other questions, if anyone wants to raise hand, want to talk, we are here. We have got another maybe 14, maybe 16 minutes more, so we can have some more talks with Ivan and Darko.
If somebody is interested to see an example from some other industry, like I showed a couple of videos, but I have a lot more. So if somebody is interested in some specific vertical, we can.
And I'd like to add one more thing, dear attendees, that we are going to share this presentation, which has our contact numbers, our contact details, so you can contact us anytime, and we will be more than happy to help and to provide the consultation or the solution needed. So if there was any requests for any other, do you have anything related to software development, Darko? Maybe mobile application, software development, and so on?
Usually the robots are used for the enterprise applications, so it's not intended for the mobile, but sometimes it's used for testing. So you can make robots test applications. So when you make an update to application, you can rerun the robot, and the robot can validate, that the application is behaving as expected. Also, robots can be used not only for internal processes automation, but also for integration. So, for example, if you have a government system or some outside system that it's very hard to connect to, or there's not an API or something like that, you can actually perform it via robot. So, for example, maybe to illustrate an example, if you have kind of a business portal where you have a list of companies and like a number of employees and their solvency information and so forth. For example, a robot can go to such a portal, and for all your customers from ERP, he can go to this portal and download the information about their credit report and their number of employees, and it can refresh the information you have in ERP. Or, for example, we had cases in banking, like reporting to the national bank. they provide you with some application and the robot can automate this because the bank didn't provide, the national bank didn't provide an API, so you can integrate it in the system.
Well, basically, robot can do whatever human can do. The point here is, do you have the business case at the moment? So there is where we come and with TDM trying to see if in the current situation you have the business case to automate this. And about the software development question, we as a Simplify Consulting together with TDM, we can provide, of course, those services with developing of mobile application and everything. Just the point is, what is the main goal? So if the main goal is automation, that is, we are going back to our methodology and to see how we can automate something and how we can simplify the work of the client. If the answer is mobile app, okay, mobile app, no problem, we can deliver this.
So, one of the things for the robots that you have to be really careful is working with unstructured data. So if you have in the process like a scan from the customer, you know, written by hand, then for robot it's just a picture, you know. So very often with RPA you need to deploy OCR, which is optical character recognition, in order to convert this picture to text. So, and of course this affects the business case because it's more costly and it can take a longer time. So you have to be, it's not that it's impossible, but it's more expensive and more prone to errors. So you have to think about these things, you know, if you have a process where the input is incoming email from the customer and he can write whatever they want in this email, this is a very tricky thing for the robot because you have to have certain structure to it in order to be processed.
Yeah, but it's just more expensive. Your robot can see that he cannot understand. He can ask the customer and tell him, okay, what do you want from me? And they can chat. Okay, so it can be done, but I really like what Darko said. We need to be careful, and that is why we need the methodology in order to find out what is the best way.
Okay, so I think we come to the end. And it's not the last nor the least. We will be having some more talks in the future, as we as consultants, we have something on our, as a responsibility on ourselves, that we say that knowledge share is part of what we have to do. So this is a part of the initiative that TDM has started by the name of Knowledge Share. So we will be having some more talks frequently. Dear attendees, it was really nice having you guys around with us. Thank you very much, Ivan. Thank you, Darko. And this is Sayed. Everyone has a good night. And I will be sending the email. Please, if you have anything, contact us on that email or visit our website and our accounts on LinkedIn and Twitter. And we will be more than happy to help. Thank you very much and have a very good night. Thank you, Ivan. Thank you, Darko. See you guys again.
Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.